Al Pacino might be one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, but he can definitely be a little scary on set. Maybe that's what it takes to be a superstar, or maybe that's just the way he works. Sources say that some actors were straight up terrified of him when they worked with him, including our personal favorite agent from NCIS LA, Chris O'Donnell. If you're wondering what makes Pacino so terrifying, stay tuned as we answer that question for you. First off, what happened on the sets of Scent of a Woman? Long before Chris O'Donnell became known as the NCIS agent G. Callan, he was known for his Oscar-winning film, The Scent of a Woman. Since this was just the beginning of Chris's career, he was as clueless as a preschooler when it came to the ins and outs of Hollywood. If that wasn't enough, he was starring alongside cinema royalty Al Pacino. Who wouldn't be anxious about that? 30-something years after that film's release, Chris recently opened up about his experience with one of Hollywood's biggest actors. He said that was quite an intimidating experience that even made him uncomfortable at times, but all in good faith. In Scent of a Woman, Chris's character Charlie Sims gets hired as an assistant to Al Pacino's iconic Frank Slade. Even though the NCIS star was able to calm his nerves around the big actor initially, he finally admitted to losing some sleep due to all the anxiety. Chris said that he barely knew anybody on set when they first began filming. He was quite young at that point, and he was also stuck in the same building as Al. Chris admitted to waking up at 4 in the morning and rollerblading up and down Times Square in the middle of the night in the dead of winter simply because he couldn't sleep. That might sound odd to you, but wouldn't you be nervous if you suddenly had to work with a superstar? Yeah, we thought so. Chris and Al Pacino's friendship. Chris recalled that Al Pacino was quite distant with him throughout most of the filming process. This limited interaction just made Chris's anxiety worse because he would never know what Al was thinking about him. He told the interviewer that they filmed for a total of about 6 months. For the first 5 months, Al Pacino just gave Chris the cold shoulder. Still, the actor doesn't deny that working with him was an iconic and interesting experience. Soon before they wrapped filming, Chris found out that the director had told Al not to let him get comfortable. Since Chris was already nervous around him, the dynamic worked perfectly for their on-screen characters. Poor little Chris, who had no idea what was going on. Then, during the last months of filming, Al finally invited Chris over to his house, played cards, and even grabbed a dinner later. We can't even imagine how confusing that must have been for him. Chris also recalled that Al was scaring the hell out of him throughout most of the movie. Since their dressing rooms were right next to each other, Chris could hear Al working on all his scenes that weren't even supposed to be filmed that same day. As soon as Chris realized that Al was all the way ahead of him in practice, Chris's anxiety just shot right off through the roof because he still needed to learn his lines and prepare. Thankfully, everything worked out perfectly in the end because Chris being nervous is exactly what they needed for the film to be a huge success. And now, Chris wasn't the only one. Al Pacino seems to be the kind of actor that has such a hold on his character that everyone else in the room gets nervous automatically. Imagine walking into an exam hall and seeing the person sitting beside you with a color-coded binder, sticky notes, and 3 different pens. That's how prepared the Godfather actor came to set. If you think Chris is the only actor who had such a unique experience than Al, then you're definitely wrong. Next, Jessica Chastain has her own stories. Hollywood actor Jessica Chastain worked well with Al Pacino back in 2011 for the drama Wild Salome. In an interview, Jessica said that he truly changed her as an actor and has always been a great mentor and friend to her. The actor said that even though most of the film enthusiasts in LA didn't even know who she was back then, Al Pacino played a huge role in changing that. She even added that there's a great student-teacher relationship between the two. Most importantly, Jessica said that he taught her that the camera is seeing right through your soul in every scene. Whatever you're feeling inside, the camera will see it. Maybe that's the kind of stellar advice that made Jessica an award-winning actor soon enough. And then there's the Diane Keaton romance. Even though the iconic Diane Keaton has never been married, she still had her fair share of romances with famous men. In an exclusive interview, Diane revealed that she had a huge crush on Al Pacino when they worked on The Godfather back in 1971. Might sound like ancient history now, but guys, the Al Pacino influence is real. Diane described Al in 3 words: charming, hilarious, and a non-stop talker. That's a little more than 3, but you get what we mean. The famed actress even added that there's another interesting aspect to Al's personality that most people don't know know of. She said that he's like a lost orphan. And of course, he was gorgeous. Thanks for stating the obvious, Diane, but we totally know what you mean. Did we mention that we've got photos of young Al Pacino on the board in our office? No? Alright, just forget we ever said that. Anyway, Diane also said that he's a brilliant character that's complex and charming, and he should have made more movies too. Other related news. The Al Pacino influence lasts a long time. If you thought that actors who worked with Pacino just forgot about him in a few years, then that really isn't the case. While some actors are one-hit wonders and others eventually fade into the darkness, those who worked with Al Pacino seem to have a pretty successful career. Remember how we were talking about Chris O'Donnell's experience with Al while filming The Scent of a Woman? Well, since then, Chris just seems to be a roller coaster of success that's only headed up. Chris is the kind of actor that almost treats Hollywood like a part-time job. He'd come to the big screen, wow us, and then disappear for a while until he shows up again. So there's no doubt that every time we see Chris on screen, his phenomenal acting just swoops us away. Despite the fact that he went from doing movies with Al Pacino to taking up long-term job at NCIS television, his acting style has stayed with him throughout. Al Pacino is inspired by new actors too. Al Pacino seems to be one of the actors who's still willing to learn from the younger generation. In a recent interview, Pacino talked about how the expectations for young actors are super different in today, and he's incredibly impressed by the new talent. He even added that these young people are really good at promoting their own work as they are wonderful actors. Al Pacino said that even though acting was a difficult career to join back when he was young, he's glad that the new generation of actors has it much easier. Since they've grown up watching good acting, they know exactly how to perform. Throughout his career, he never really went on to television. He said that every time something would happen, he would just ask his manager, Marty Bregman, if he should go on TV. And every single time, he said no. Marty reminded Al of how he wanted to keep himself and only focus on what his performance art is. Even though Al Pacino had a brief period in the mid-80s when he quit acting, he doesn't deny that this was another awesome experience that he got to have. He said that he always felt like he could get work if he needed to. So if he decided to take a sabbatical for his artistic and expressive self, eventually he came back to acting because he needed to. Because obviously, everyone needs the cash, right? Young actors, listen up. For all the young actors out there, Al Pacino would only advise you to be as authentic as possible. Always remember that the camera can see right through your soul. Al Pacino always focused more on his art and less on public appearances. Even though PR is just a part of being a superstar nowadays, you probably shouldn't fret over it too much. If you really want to play a character that leaves a mark in the viewer's heart, then you gotta fully embrace it and immerse yourself in it. That's the beauty of performance art. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you think about iconic actors like Al Pacino? Do you think Chris O'Donnell is a super successful actor because of his early experiences? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content like this. See you next time.